Hello and welcome to Mobile On Air week number 5. My name is Craig and I'm an EMEA product lead for Progressive Web Apps at Google. Joining me today in the second half of this stream will be my good friend Anna Potaninger, who is a mobile user experience specialist here at Google. In this session, we'll be talking about progressive web apps and how they have the superpowers of the web and native apps combined. We'll talk through the capabilities of PWAs, how to deploy them, and UX best practices to ensure a great user experience. If the title seems familiar, you might have heard about the ebook myself, Anna, and some of our colleagues recently published with awards. In this session today, we'll talk through some of the chapters from the ebook, and because the book is a PWA itself, we'll be using it in some of our examples. After the video, you can check out the whole book at the URL on the screen, but please wait until after the video to do that. Stay with me. You still there? Very good. Let me take you through the agenda for today. I'll talk about what installable progressive web apps are and their benefits, plus product strategies on deploying PWAs. Anna will then go through some patterns for promoting PWA installation before speaking about UX best practices for designing installable and reliable PWA experiences and talking through a case study as well. Finally, both myself and Anna, along with some of the other ebook authors, will be available for a live Q&A. Feel free to write any questions you have in the box below the video, and we'll do our best to answer at the end of the session. So first, installable progressive web apps. What are they? What are their benefits? To start with, let's talk about the web. The web has two distinguishing superpowers. The first is the widest reach of any platform, spanning every kind of device and screen size. The second is links that enable search indexing for organic discovery and trivial sharing of content and services between users with just a URL. These superpowers have made the web unstoppable as a platform on desktop. For example, productivity apps such as Google's G Suite, Microsoft Office 365, Trello, Slack, these have been around for a long time as desktop web apps. However, on mobile, instead of the web, native app stores are often thought of as the go-to app platform for both users and developers. While browsers remain central for users on mobile, every device now has its own app store, which has changed user behavior. Users have learned that the device's store is where they can install software that's made for their device. Why is this? Well, from a developer perspective, many of the capabilities that require deep integration into the underlying operating system were previously unavailable on the web. These days, the web natively supports almost any capability that an application might need, including media and streaming media access, capturing photos and videos from any camera on the device, shape detection, including barcode and face detection, biometric authentication, including face and fingerprint, Bluetooth and NFC, native access to contacts, native file system access, and many, many, many more, like you can see here in the graphic on the screen. Be sure to check out the Web Capabilities Project, also known as Project Fugu, for a full list of what's being worked on. Progressive web apps are a pattern for building great apps that use web technology. They have all the features and functionality users expect from a modern app on mobile or desktop. That includes all the capabilities I just mentioned, plus features like instant loading, offline modes, push notifications, and installability. Progressive web apps combine the superpowers of the web, reach and linkability, with those of native applications, namely device integrations. PWAs can be discovered in the web browser and used immediately. Content from PWAs can be shared with a URL, and the person receiving the URL can access the content whether they have the PWA installed or not. And if the user chooses, they can install the PWA and get the device integrations they expect from an app, such as being accessible from familiar discovery and launch services for the device, like the home screen and the app tray. a standalone experience separate from the browser, and native device services such as the app switcher and settings. And because PWAs build directly on the web, it means you can maintain one codebase that works for visitors in the browser and your installed users. You can reach anyone, anywhere, on any device with a single codebase. That's pretty super. Progressive Web App Install is supported by all major browsers, although the install experience does vary. On the left is the default install prompt experience on Chrome Android. Both Chrome and Edge on Android offer full control over the install prompt experience, and later Anna will talk about customizing this to increase your install rates. In the middle is the experience on Android Firefox. See the icon in the browser bar that has the plus symbol? Users can install by tapping on this icon. Safari on iOS requires users to manually install PWAs from the Actions menu. There is no default prompt. Anna will speak more about creating an install prompt like the one on the right here for Safari later. PWAs can also be installed on desktop from Chrome and Edge browsers on all operating systems, including Chrome OS, Linux, Mac, and Windows. Users can tap the install icon in the address bar like you see on the left here. And once installed, desktop PWAs can be launched from the app tray into a standalone experience like you see on the right. And progressive web apps can be published to the Google Play Store and discovered alongside any other app listed there. This is done using an open standard called Trusted Web Activities. And a PWA published in Play is like any other Android app, except it's built with the web. These apps are great for users, as they are small in size, generally under 2 MB, which is great for storage-conscious users. And there's no need to constantly install updates, as changes made to the PWA are immediately available in the app. They're great for developers too, as you don't need to maintain a separate Android codebase. If you'd like to learn more about how to publish a PWA in Play, you can check out web.dev/using a PWA in your Android app. Now, let's talk about product strategies for progressive web apps. While acknowledging the benefits that PWAs offer, like saving development costs from a single codebase and reaching more users with smaller file size applications, businesses sometimes still have concerns about how to best deploy PWAs in a manner that complements their existing native applications. I'm going to talk through strategies that reflect how businesses with various needs can use PWAs to offer the best possible experience to the largest number of users in the most cost-effective manner and in complement to native applications. Before getting into that, I want to touch on the value of app users. Businesses often report that native app users are the most loyal and valuable, with a higher customer lifetime value when compared with web users. Are native app experiences so much better than web experiences? Or is it simply that the most loyal users are more likely to install an app? Data from various businesses across the globe suggest it's the latter. Here's one example. The successful online fashion shop About You deployed a progressive web app and offered install from the browser, in addition to their native application, which is available in Play. They found that users who had installed the PWA generate 5 times higher sales than the average mobile user, and that they behave similar to users of the native app. Installing an app, whether it's a PWA or a native app, generates business uplift, so maximizing the total installed user base makes a lot of sense. Now, into the strategies. The first one is to go all in on web and rely solely on a progressive web app to deliver a great experience to all users cost effectively. With one code base and design, resources can be focused on building new features and experiences rather than maintaining separate platforms. For this strategy, develop a great PWA and also publish it in Play. From the browser, promote PWA install, and in Play, users can discover and install the app. This strategy is best for businesses that don't have a native app already, or have an outdated app, or have an app that relies heavily on web views already. The main pros of this approach is that it consolidates all mobile development into one codebase and provides a consistent user experience no matter how users discover you. The main con of this strategy is if you need some functionality that's not available on the web, this won't work. But for most of you, this won't be a concern. The second strategy is to complement your existing native apps with a Lite app. The terms Lite and Go were coined to differentiate the lighter, faster, however sometimes less specialized web-based experience from that of a native app for businesses that are looking to offer both. For this strategy, build a great PWA and also publish it in Play alongside your existing native application. From the browser, promote the native app install to all users, but if they decline, promote the PWA using a Lite value proposition. In Play, use Lite naming for the PWA there so that users can differentiate from the native app and choose their preferred experience. This strategy is best for businesses that already have a great but maybe heavy native app and want to grow their installed user base by offering a better experience to users on mid to low-end devices. This is particularly important for businesses with growth ambitions in emerging markets where data plans are expensive, storage space is limited, and devices can be low powered. And also remember that even in developed markets, there are a large number of people on mid to low tier devices as well. The big advantage of this strategy is that you can expand your reach to users who would never previously install your app and grow your installed user base even further. In terms of cons, well, there aren't that many big ones. It does require managing 2 listings in Play and using analytics to thoughtfully segment users for promotion of PWA or native app from the browser. The third strategy, and the last one I'll go through, is to help get as many users installing your apps as possible by minimizing install friction. This is best for businesses that can offer a comparable experience across PWA and native applications. For this strategy, develop a great PWA and continue to build great native applications as well. When it comes to promotion, in the browser, the least install friction is PWA install, as it only takes 2 taps and users don't need to leave the browser at all. From Play, having just one listing, the native application, means the user doesn't have to choose between different versions of the app there. A tip to avoid promoting your PWA in the browser to users who already have the native app installed is to use the Get Installed Related Apps API. You can check that out at web.dev/getinstalledrelatedapps. Now, this is an ideal strategy to reduce install friction and make promotional strategies simple. The main cons is that it does require maintaining both PWA and native applications when there's little difference in the experience, and there's no Lite option for users discovering and Play. This is a safe option for those businesses that already have great native apps and want to grow the total install base by using PWA to complement existing app strategies. That's it from me. I'll now hand over to Anna, who will talk about UX best practices for PWAs. Thank you very much.
Thanks, Craig. Hello, I am Anna. I'm a mobile user experience specialist at Google, and I'm going to take you through the patterns for promoting progressive web app installation, speak about UX best practices for installable and reliable PWA experiences, and present a case study from Weekend Desk. So promoting progressive web app installation should happen at the right moment in the user journey. The best practice here is to customize your visuals, copy, and design in order to align with both with your brand identity and your customer needs. Chrome on Android allows fully customizable UI prompts, but first, you need to make sure to prevent the default experience, which triggers the mini info bar. The mini info bar was only intended as a temporary solution. It's not really the best user experience since it's generated by the browser, and it has no way to know when is the right moment to appear. It just shows up as soon as the site passes installability criteria and the user engagement measure. So the recommended best practice here is just to stop the mini info bar from showing and instead use a customized UI prompt. You can check out the web.dev resources here on the slide to learn on how to technically do that. Also, as Craig has mentioned before, don't promote your PWA to users that already have the native app installed. Use the Get Installed Related Apps API to identify users who don't have the native app and show the PWA prompt only to them. You can also check out the web.dev resources here for more details. And really important, implement analytics to measure and optimize the install funnel. We have a whole chapter on this in the ebook, so do go and check it out. There are a few best practices for customized install prompts. The first one is to appear where appropriate. The ground rule here is not to ask users to install the PWA on their first visit. Instead, consider prompting already engaged users. For example, when they have viewed certain content or completed the task on their second visit. Another rule is to use a value proposition. It's no secret that all people need motivation to complete any task, so do motivate users to install the PWA by explaining why they should be doing this and what they will get at the end. The third rule is to use visuals to illustrate action. Mother Nature has built into the brain the ability to recognize images instantly. That's why visuals, icons, pictures, illustrations, they are a very important signal. They help to illustrate the content and functionality so that the user's brain recognizes and understands things faster. So do include icons such as a download icon or an install button to illustrate the user the action they should take. And lastly, integrate with the UI. Pop-ups have historically become really popular for promoting app installs. However, every pop-up is an intrusive experience which will likely get ignored or dismissed by users. Less intrusive experiences would lead to higher engagements. So prompts that are integrated within the UI as part of the site are more likely to be well received by a user. In the image on the right here, you can see an example of a customized install prompt that I have created. It looks and feels native to the UI. It contains a value proposition and some visuals, and it appears at the right time. Here are some more visual examples of how you can appear where appropriate throughout the user journey, okay? Each of them, the blue box, is the example of prompt. So on the left-hand side is an example of placing the prompt within the side navigation panel when people are accessing the menu. This makes the install prompt always available to the user, discoverable throughout the journey without being too interruptive. In the middle is more of a classic install banner that you might trigger once someone has viewed multiple pages or visited the site more than once. And on the right-hand side is an example of a post-purchase prompt. When someone has just completed a key task like a purchase, it is a good time to ask them to install. First of all, you are not interrupting, and then if the user has just purchased something, it is a strong signal that they will likely to also install. With the value proposition, first of all, remember that you need to focus on the benefits to the user, but not the app features, okay? This is quite a basic sales principle. You need to speak about about the user and what the better version of themselves they will become if they install the app. Also, remember, users are not very technical. Do not use any complex terminology like PWA. And another more general rule, avoid negative wording. For example, if people see something like, don't worry about this, then there is a follow-up question in the head appearing, or like, why should I be worrying? Now moving on to best practices for integrating within UI, and here are more visual examples. Do use a native look and feel to create less intrusive experience. You can see that one on the left. Also avoid using pop-ups and overlays. These are interruptive. People tend to dismiss them without giving proper attention. iOS requires users to install from the browser menu. And here you can also guide users through this process with an install prompt that explains what to do, like I am showing here in this example. When someone clicks Install App on the top right, it triggers the overlay with instructions. And remember, on desktop, progressive web apps can be installed in Chrome and Edge browsers on all operating systems. An icon will appear in the Omnibox when the website is installable and will wiggle to draw users' attention. Consider also providing a UI prompt to make sure users are fully aware that they can install the PWA, like here in this example. Once users have installed your app, it's important to meet user expectations. And UX best practices here from both web and native apps can be used at the same time as an inspiration, but always just make sure you listen to your users and test every of your design ideas. Once it's installed, a PWA will look like any other icon on the home screen, and it should feel like any other app for the user. Some fundamentals to consider include the icons, launch screen, full screen navigation, and color schemes. So for Android, consider designing maskable icons that can adapt to any icon shape required by the phone manufacturer. You can read more about designing adaptable icons on web.dev. For iOS, use regular iOS icon design guidelines, but note that iOS does not use the icons from the manifest file, so make sure to add an Apple Touch icon meta tag with the proper image. Our ebook uses maskable icons, so you will get this really nice looking icon when you install our ebook. On Android, the browser bar can be changed to match your brand color. This will also affect the standalone mode, specifically the color of the system notifications panel right on the top. When the app is launched from the home screen, Chrome for Android will automatically customize the splash screen by using things like the name, background, color, and icons in the manifest file. On the screen here, you can see an example of the custom splash screen of our ebook. It uses the icon, the W, the background color, and the name of the app. Also, the orange browser bar on the top is set from the color scheme that I spoke about on the previous slide. Progressive web apps launched from the home screen icon should open in a standalone display mode to provide the experience consistent to what users have come to expect from native apps. This means the PWA launches with no browser bar in the top, and it is separate from the browser when cycling through the app switcher, along with an increased above-the-fold space. Yay! The PWA in standalone mode don't have the browser navigation capabilities anymore. So for example, on iOS, there are no back or forward buttons, so do implement additional navigation elements within the PWA, such as a back button or breadcrumbs or additional navigation bar. You can see an example of this on the left. Also, when users are in standalone mode on both Android and iOS, the browser menu isn't available to select the URL and easily share. So consider displaying additional buttons like trigger the web share API to bring up the native Android share dialog and make it easy for users to share URLs with other apps like social networks or messengers. And example of this is on the right, and do also check the web.dev for more information on web share. When designing for longer screen, right, of the standalone UI, make sure all key navigation items are easily accessible for the user. In general, the bottom of the screen on mobile devices is considered to be a more ergonomic location. It's easier to reach when holding the device with just one hand. So consider locating their key call to actions. Testing a bottom navigation bar is a good idea in general, or anchoring modal pop-ups in the bottom of the screen versus in the center. And if you offer both native apps and progressive web apps, ensure consistent navigation across platforms to make it easy for users to switch between experiences. Now, that's it on installation and post-install, and let's now have a look into designing for offline. Providing an offline experience in a progressive web app means a user experience that is consistent with what people would expect from native applications, which would often have some offline functionality, right? Well, at least the UI is available in the apps and the reasonable error messages are displayed if there is any network connectivity issue. So when designing your reliable web experience, think about the connectivity as something that is constantly changing its state, okay? Especially when on mobile devices, users can be traveling underground or entering elevators or just simply experiencing bad connectivity issues. And providing an offline experience opens new ways to engage with your users and keep them using your PWA in all connection states. On the left-hand side here, you can see some of the basic questions that you need to think about when you're defining the offline experience. On the right-hand side here, you can see some more ideas for the how might we exercise if you want to do design thinking exercise. So on top of the must-have on the left, consider also applying design thinking methods and brainstorm with your team on what functionality your audience would benefit from when they are offline and how to turn the offline state into competitive advantage. And on the very basic level, at least you need to inform users about the change of state. The three elements that can be used for that are the copy, icons, and colors, right? So copy what exactly you say to users about the change of state. Icons, how do you illustrate the current status? And colors, in case you want to enhance the message or highlight the content available. And the best practice here is to use at least 2 out of 3 signifiers to avoid user confusion. For example, when using just the colors, graying out certain areas of the website can be interpreted not only as an offline state, but also as some of the items are out of stock. So just to make things clear, also use copy to inform the user. With copy, there are a few things to consider. The first one is to keep things simple. Remember, users are often not technically minded. They don't want to know about servers being down or something else. So also avoid blaming the user for being offline or blaming your own systems for a bad connection. Instead, you just simply confirm the state and tell people what are the next actions. And in case your brand strategy includes normal language, use it with care, as it can undermine the credibility of your product in such a sensitive moment. A popular UI component to inform user about the change of state is a pop-up toast or a snack bar, if you want. It can appear in any place in the UI, but check that on every page it does not block the key navigation elements. Besides the copy, the toast can also carry an icon and a call to action button, for example, refresh the page or dismiss notification. In addition to simply notifying the user that they are offline, many other types of experiences can be provided. For example, you can let the user simply continue browsing when they're offline. You can also show a static offline placeholder page. You can be useful and show to users some crucial information or updates. You can also try to entertain users by occupying their time so they keep staying in the app. Or you can let users complete the tasks that they started while they were online. Caching can be used to allow users to continue browsing when they are offline. Use pre-caching to let the user continue exploring important areas of the website, such as top categories or items on sale. Use runtime caching to make any previously viewed page available. And be mindful to make users aware of what content is available to browse, provide appropriate navigation, and information on what actions are possible. If no content is available, you can show a static content page. This could contain some alternative ways to reach the business, such as, for example, store locator, contact or get in touch with a call center buttons. It can be a feedback form that will be submitted once the user is back online. You can also show some relevant and useful information from the user's account. For example, a travel company could make tickets or boarding passes available. A retailer could show safe items or items in the basket, because there is this use case that connection quite often goes off in the store or at the pickup point. Or in the entertainment service could show users' favorite tracks or favorite videos. And another option is to provide a game or puzzle or fun facts in order to occupy users' time while they wait for connection to return. And more advanced offline experiences can allow users to complete their tasks, such as adding items to the cart, saving items to a wish list, or completing the form, or even complete all the details in the checkout right up to payment. It is important to reassure the user they can continue their task and their actions won't be wasted despite being offline. And when the connection is back, just inform the user about the change of state again and update the content if there are any changes required. If the user can be kept within their current context, just reload the page automatically for them. And if the context cannot be kept, give the user control to refresh the page with a button. And just to conclude the offline best practices section, I wanted to say that new and unexpected and unique offline experiences on the web nowadays may not just meet, but they may exceed user expectations and create the moment of delight that will turn your web UX into a competitive advantage. Now, when creating offline experiences, don't forget to implement analytics so that you can also measure offline usage and events. Offline usage can be measured by recording analytics pings when the user is offline and then replaying them when the connection comes back, as described here on the slide. For Google Analytics, this is readily available in a module for the Workbox library and means that all analytics events will still be tracked even when the user goes offline. Check out the measurement chapter in the ebook for more information. A well-built progressive web app should increase engagement, speed up the page speed, and drive conversions through a meaningful offline mode and installability. So what is the best way to measure this and determine the impact. As a PWA includes a few different technologies which can be used somewhat independently, it is advised to measure each feature on its own to ensure clear data and a complete picture on what to optimize further. Weekend Desk is one of the top businesses that is offering weekends and short thematic stays, and they have created an ultra-fluid experience by unifying their website and native app. With more than 60% of web sessions coming from mobile and an aging Android app, Weekend Desk has a strategic interest in offering the best mobile experience to its customers. Weekend Desk has gradually added modern web functionality to its mobile site to transform it into a true progressive web app, which makes it as smooth as a native app. Here you can see a breakdown of some of the features. So for example, thanks to the service worker, the website is much faster and transition between pages are happening smoother. Also, if the user loses their network connection, the wishlist is still available, which is a great offline experience, right? And also on the second page visited, the user is asked if they want to install the PWA, so it just does not happen in the first visit. And lastly, it is also installable in Google Play Store as well, just like any other Android app. And the results of this is, for the users, the same ultra-fluid experience across everywhere, on web and in app. For the product team, faster deployment of new features and lower cost with the maintenance of a single code. And for the business, 2.5 times more conversions when users come from the installed PWA, also a site which is up to 30% faster, more engagement and page views, and more time spent on site. Now, I want to thank you very much for listening to us today. If you would like to learn more about progressive web apps, right now it is a good time to finally go and check out the ebook. Well, maybe not right now, but right after the live Q&A session, which myself, Craig, and other authors of the ebook will be answering in just a few seconds.